Well, we had another Democrat politician get in the middle of federal law enforcement officials arresting somebody that they had a warrant for. And, well, he got in the middle of it. He put his hands on the law enforcement officers, and he got dealt with just like you and I would get dealt with. He got arrested. But there's something about that arrest. We looked at the picture. There's something about this arrest that is sort of missing the attention of a lot of observers. It didn't miss our gaze. We want to show you this very important element. The Democrats want these images. They want these pictures out there. But there's part of this image, I think, a profound part, that they don't want you to see. They weren't planning on it. We're going to show that to you coming up in a sec. But first, the last Democrat to create this scene was Senator Alex Padilla. You remember him. He started barging toward the podium where Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem was delivering statements, started shouting questions like a lunatic. He was wearing a polo shirt and a windbreaker and jeans, and the security guys immediately did their job. They started to restrain him, push him back, keep him away from the secretary. Only then he started screaming, "I'm Senator Alex Padilla. Don't you know who I am?" And the fact is they didn't know who he was. And it doesn't matter. He could say he was Napoleon Bonaparte. He could say he was Donald Trump. He could say he was Brad Pitt. At that point, the only thing security does is neutralize the threat. Then you check IDs afterwards. And in this case, neutralizing the threat meant getting him down, handcuffing him, and then you have a conversation. That's what you want law enforcement to do in a situation like that. But Senator Alex Padilla, after that harrowing nightmare where I believe he was handcuffed for a total of 90 seconds, this traumatizing moment will forever scar him, will forever leave a mark on his soul. And he brought that grief, he brought that anguish, he brought that pain to the floor of the United States Senate.
Was forced to the ground. First on my knees, and then flat on my chest. And as I was handcuffed and marched down a hallway, repeatedly asking, "Why am I being detained?" Not once did they tell me why. I pray you never have a moment like this. But I will tell you, in that moment, a lot of questions came to my mind. First of all, where are they taking me? Because I know I'm not just being escorted out of the building. Am I being arrested here? And what will a city already on edge from being militarized think when they see their United States senator being handcuffed just for trying to ask a question?
Well, of course, he wasn't handcuffed for trying to ask a question. He was handcuffed for barging into the press conference that was a private invite-only press conference, by the way. And by the way, he's not a member of the press. Barging in and charging toward the podium and shouting questions at the Secretary of Homeland Security in a secure building, in a secure environment where members of this cabinet are constantly under threat of violence, where the president has actually had to endure at least 2 assassination attempts that we know about over the course of the last 9 months. It wasn't about asking a question. Nobody was arrested for asking a question. But those are fine questions that he's asking now, these questions that race through his mind. What will this city think when they see their senator being arrested for this thing? Yeah, you know what? That's fair. Maybe you should have thought of that before you broke the law. You see, there's a common theme to this segment where we show you these Democrats getting arrested, starting with Padilla here. And here's the theme. You better not try what they did. They are indignant that they got arrested for doing something that if you tried it, you would not be released 15 minutes later. You would still be in jail right now. See, they have this arrogance that they are Democrat elected officials and they can break the law. And if you try to do something about it, how dare you? I'm going to take to the floor of the Senate and whine and complain about it. The arrogance of these people. See, they've been living too long under the dual standard of the application of our federal laws, where if you have a D at the end of your name, you can do whatever the hell you want and nothing will happen. That's what's playing out before your very eyes right now. I assure you, ladies and gentlemen, if you happen upon a press conference of a cabinet secretary, do not rush toward the stage and start screaming questions at said cabinet secretary. You will be arrested and you will not get the deference this guy got. I promise you. This is a perfect don't try this at home moment. But then as Senator Padilla was going through all of these questions that were racing through his mind while he was being detained for 15 minutes, the emotion got the best of him. A little bit more from this speech, and I want you to picture the full scene here. This is zoomed in, but this is the U.S. Senate with all of those desks wrapped around him, almost like theater in the round, because this is a performance. And we're watching this theater unfold before our eyes. It is LA, after all, where this took place. And, well, Alex, don't quit your day job. There's way better actors in California. But go ahead, have a go.
Am I being arrested here? And what will a city already on edge from being militarized think when they see their United States Senator being handcuffed just for trying to ask a question? And what will my wife think? What will our boys think? And I also remember asking myself, if this aggressive escalation is the result of someone speaking up against the abuses and overreach of the Trump administration, was it really worth it? But colleagues, how many Americans in our nation's history have marched, have protested, have shed blood, even lost their lives to protect our rights? How many Americans have served in wars overseas to protect our freedoms here at home?
Yeah, all right. I'm sorry. I'm done. I'm going to call bullshit on this entire thing. I'm sorry. I'm just so overcome with emotion. I don't know if I can keep it together. This is the phoniest thing I've ever heard of. But then comparing what he did to people wearing the uniform overseas and dying in war, who in the hell do you think you are, pal? The clock is ticking on his 15 minutes, and I'm pretty sure they're up. That's despicable. But he's a hero on the left right now. Oh, please, he's gonna. You know, Gavin Newsom is jealous of this guy, by the way. You know, remember when Gavin Newsom said, "What is this? Yeah, stop with all the big man talk, Tom Homan. Just come here and arrest me. Arrest me. Come on and arrest me, Tom." Tom Homan ain't gonna go to Sacramento and arrest you, pal. But Padilla actually got the handcuffs. Gavin Newsom's got him like, damn it, that could have been me. I could have gotten the handcuffs. Because they're all drama queens. They're all trying to one-up each other now. We'll show you the latest one in New York where, listen, two great theater towns, LA and New York. The New York guy may be a better actor. I mean, they say that about New York actors. You know, when you have to survive on the stage, you end up having a little bit more skills than TV and film actors. That said, when he was done weeping his brains out on the floor of the U.S. Senate, he then took to X and started interacting with Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller highlighted a clip of the mayor of Los Angeles, warning the Trump administration, saying, I don't think you quite, in fact, I think maybe we can see the clip. Hang on.
I don't think the president understands that there are entire sectors of our economy that could not function without immigrant labor.
There you go. Mayor Wide Mouth Bass there. You don't understand. We have whole sectors of our economy that can't function without the cheap exploited slave labor that we encourage to come across the border. We got businesses here. They donate to my campaign. They'd go under if they couldn't exploit all that cheap labor. What do you want them to do? Hire American citizens? Pfft, they can't do that. Are you kidding? With the taxes we charge in this city? No. Stephen Miller responds to that and says the Los Angeles mayor says her economy is dependent on vast criminal law breaking, and the federal government should ensure vast criminal law breaking continues forever. That's exactly what she's saying. Don't come here and enforce federal law. Otherwise, our economy will fall apart. We have to violate the law here to survive, is what she is saying. And she's smiling about it. She thinks it's hilarious. So then Padilla responds, because he's finally gotten, all the tears out of his eyes, so he can focus on his smartphone. He says, you've got it flat out wrong, Stephen Miller. Let's not forget, California has the world's fourth largest economy in the world because of immigration, not in spite of it. Have you heard that talking point, by the way? Stephen Miller has. Can I just give you a tip? I've met Stephen Miller, engaged with him several times offline in private conversations. I remember meeting him for the first time in 2016, maybe 2015, actually, now that I think about it. It was October of 2015. It was my wife's birthday. We were having dinner in downtown Los Angeles with downtown DC with Ann Coulter, who was in town. And Ann said, I said, well, it's Meredith's birthday. I said, yeah, come on out. We'll go out for dinner. We'll have a birthday celebration. I'm bringing a friend of mine. He works in Senator Sessions' office. He's an expert on immigration. His name is Stephen Miller. So Ann brought Stephen Miller to this dinner. And it was the most surreal experience of my life. I've never met a person like Stephen Miller. You mention anything about immigration policy, and he's got a file cabinet, photographic memory of every single. I feel like his brain is a giant multi-dimensional spreadsheet of data and statistics about immigration for every month and every year of this country's existence. If you want to engage in an argument or a debate with Stephen Miller about immigration, just surrender before you start. You will not win. So Alex Padilla tries this. We're the fourth largest economy on the planet because of immigration. Really? Stephen Miller responds and says, Senator, please clarify your position. Are you saying you do or do not want a vast illegal alien workforce in California? As to GDP, mass migration slashes per capita wealth. In other words, if California annexed Haiti, its GDP would grow about $20 billion. But the average California worker would actually be much poorer. You follow that? In other words, the GDP in California may be great, but as you continue to import low wage, below minimum wage, exploited cheap labor from third world countries and expand your population with all of those people, they may be contributing to your gross GDP, but on average, Californians will actually be making less and less and less and have a lower quality of life. Senator Padilla is celebrating the fact that the top 0.1% in California is raking in the bucks on the backs of slave labor. And Stephen Miller just exposed his ass. It's beautiful. That's the end of Padilla, at least the end of his 15 minutes of fame. And boy, what a shining star he was. Now let's shift our focus to the East Coast, where in New York City, they're having a mayoral campaign. The primary for the Democrats is next week. So one of the candidates, the Comptroller of New York, needed to get some attention. So what did he do? he decided to get in the way of federal law enforcement officers serving a warrant on an illegal immigrant. What happened next? This happened next.
Judicial warrant. Do you have a judicial warrant? Do you have a judicial warrant? Can I see the judicial warrant? Can I see the warrant? I will let go when you show me the judicial warrant. Where is it? Where is the warrant? I have it in my hand here. You're obstructing. You're obstructing. I would like to let go. Just see the warrant. Put him in custody. No! Take it back. Take it back. Take it back. Step back. Step back. Step back. You don't have authority to arrest U.S. citizens. Step back, sir. You don't have the authority to arrest U.S. citizens. Stay back. Step back, guys. You don't have to. I'm not obstructing. I'm standing right here in the hallway. I asked to see the judicial warrant.
I love you're not obstructing anymore because you've been restrained, and they do have the authority to arrest if you're obstructing their activities, which is exactly what he was. By the way, speaking of authority, you don't have the authority to demand to see a warrant on behalf of a third party. Who the hell do you think you are? Well, I'll tell you who he thinks he is. He's Brad Lander. This video was posted on his X account by his wife, who just happened to be ready to post the video. Boy, that's great luck, isn't it?
By asking for a judicial warrant? You don't have the authority to arrest U.S. citizens asking for a judicial warrant. Stay back, please. Stay back. Stay back. Stay back. No, ma'am, for your own safety. For your own safety.
I can't believe you're arresting me.
Where are you taking him? Hello?
Since you have no authority to arrest U.S. citizens, where are you taking me? And with what authority?
I'd be embarrassed too.
Why are you arresting
And with what authority?
Where are you?
Step back, guys. Step back, please.
I really love the arrogance of all the people in that corridor demanding to know where they're taking it, as if law enforcement is obligated in any way whatsoever to answer the questions of people screaming at them after they've made an arrest of a person impeding their ability to carry out their job. I want to go back to the first thing that I said. Do not try this at home. Any average American citizen who attempts to do what this elected official in New York did or what Senator Padilla in California did will be treated the same way. See, they're indignant and they're angry and they're creating these scenes because they cannot stand the fact that suddenly laws are being applied to them as well. See, they've learned the lesson of the last 20 years that the Clintons get away with anything, that Gavin Newsom gets away with anything, that every single person that forced you to get a shot, forced you to put a mask on, forced you to keep your kids home from school, forced you not to go out and interact with the rest of the world, they went ahead and broke all of the protocols that they laid out there against you and against your business. They got rich during the pandemic. You went poor during the pandemic. They love setting up rules that they don't have to follow, and they become so accustomed to it that now when suddenly the law is applied to them just a little bit, they are pissed off. So they get attention by doing this. But see, the only message that's sent to us, to voters, is that they still have this arrogance that they are above the law. How dare you arrest an elected official? How dare you arrest a political figure? Have you seen Donald Trump's mugshot, pal? And I promise you, he then didn't call a press conference and start crying about being arrested. But I told you there was something in this moment when Lander in New York was arrested. They wanted the pictures. They wanted the video. They wanted the attention. They wanted everyone in the planet to know that Donald Trump's Nazi, Klansmen, white supremacist Gestapo stormtroopers were arresting Democrats for no reason, right? That's the message they wanted. What they didn't expect was what really happened. What they didn't expect was this picture. What they didn't expect were those two guys handling the arrest. Do you see what I see? I'm sorry, where are the white Nazi Klansmen Gestapo stormtroopers? I see two law enforcement officers, one with a mask, but he looks to be Latino American to me, and another person without a mask who is undoubtedly Asian American. Two men of color. Two men of color working for federal law enforcement, doing their job, who were impeded from doing their job by a grandstanding, uppity, white, liberal, Democrat lawmaker jumping into the room saying, "Stop what you're doing. Don't you know who I am?" He's the comptroller of New York. He has no authority in this proceeding. This is a federal law enforcement proceeding. The mayor of New York has no standing in this. So it wasn't your white Klansman Gestapo that were being impeded and decided to arrest this man. It was two gentlemen of color, two upstanding American federal law enforcement officers doing their job. And we can all be very proud of them. After he was detained, he then immediately staged a press conference because he had plenty to say, because that's why he did this. He's running for mayor. He wanted attention. So let's give him some attention.
And so I just engaged in that tradition of accompaniment, of trying to bear witness, of trying to walk peacefully with someone, of trying to make sure that the rules are followed. And so...
All right. This is the whole thing. He was accompanying him. You know how he was accompanying him? He locked arms with him. He locked arms with him, which impeded the arrest process. You try arresting somebody when they're locking arms with someone. You need to unlock them. And when he resisted having his arms unlocked, that's when he got arrested. You don't do that. Again, I just want to remind you, don't be this guy. See, he's a Democrat, and they may not end up pressing charges. He may walk scot-free. I promise you that will not be the case with you. I promise you. If you are not a Democrat elected official and you try this, you're done. The arrogance of these people. And they know that, by the way. They know it. That's why they do this. Because they know the rules don't apply to them. But you better believe, if he wants someone arrested, if he wins the mayor's race, and just average New Yorkers get in the way of cops doing their job, you think he's going to step up as the mayor and say, yeah, let him off, let him off. Oh, hell no. They love throwing their power around. All right, a little bit more from his little press conference here.
And are going to make sure that at least they get as much help as we can provide, as New York City, as New York State can provide to help them avoid being separated or being detained. But then when we went back upstairs, again, we had these next two cases, this Yoruba gentleman and then Edgardo, who we just tried to walk out of the building. And I think you saw the video. All I tried to do was just hold Edgardo's arm and ask the ICE agents, do you have a warrant? And they would not show me the warrant. And I said I'd let go of his arm as soon as they showed it to me, and they did not show it to me, and you saw what happened.
There you go. I was just accompanying him, and then I told them that I will let go of his arm if you do this. I'm sorry, you're negotiating something? Don't try this at home. Don't try to act like an arrogant Democrat, because they live under different rules than you do, guys. It won't end well for you. Also, by the way, did you notice who was with him? Governor Hochul of New York, who I believe has endorsed him for mayor. And then if you notice, you can kind of see it because the Chiron is covering it. But see this poster right here, right behind his name, Lander. See the blue and gold? He's got his campaign poster there on the podium because this was a campaign stunt. That's why he had the governor there walking out the doors with him, and the press were there and all the cameras were there. He wanted attention. He's running third right now, maybe fourth in the primary race next week, and he wants your vote. And this is what Democrats do now. They stage this street theater so that they can get arrested, so they can get attention, because they think it helps them politically. So you had California with Padilla. Now you got New York with Lander. What's going on in the Windy City? Well, here's Illinois. 4 lawmakers trying to barge into an ICE facility. They didn't get anywhere. They wouldn't let him in the door, which they're probably pissed about. Damn it, how are we going to get arrested if they won't even let us in? You'll notice they're all wearing their security pin lapel pins identifying themselves as lawmakers. Senator Padilla did not wear that, so that's probably one of the reasons why they weren't wrestled to the ground. This is pathetic. It's gross, it's disgusting, and it proves that they still have no ideas and they have no plan. And the only thing they can do to get attention is stunts like this, which actually end up boomeranging and backfiring on them. Because to the American people, all we're seeing are drama queens who are trying to get arrested, doing whatever they can to get arrested, and then acting indignant that they're treated just the same way an ordinary American citizen would be treated if we tried to do the same thing. And they can't stand that. And honestly, I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think that's a very good look when you're running for office and your big complaint is that you're being treated like anybody else. But who am I to tell the Democrats how to do their job? They're killing it, man. Absolutely killing it.